Hello, sir.
Should we start?
Yes, sir.
जी, आपको स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है आपको?
Yes, sir. Screen on.
Yes, sir.
जी बेटा, साउंड में या वॉइस पे कोई मसला हो तो आपने मुझे फिर मैसेज कर देना है, ठीक है?
Okay, sir.
सॉरी फॉर इनकन्वीनियंस. Yes, I told you about farewell to arms, and I introduce this novel to you. As you know, as you are well aware of the writer, and just I told you about his the style of writing. Actually, the story is very important because we go in depth of the story in order to know what is happening all around, and then afterwards we come to know about the theme and the purpose of this writing. Farewell to arms story, events of World War. Basically, there are many causes of World War One, but the main cause is making the alliances. As we know that from one side there was a Germany, Turkey, Austria, Hungary. From another side, Allied forces were there in the first place. British, France, Russia, and then America joined the war. And then there are many other causes, because and then there was a main cause of the arch Duke of Austria has been killed. That was also one of the reasons. But these are the reasons. The main reason is to hold on. The main reason is to main reason is imperialism, and basically they everyone every country, America, British, particularly Germany, they want to expand their empires. So therefore, the main cause was they made many alliances. So there was a danger of war hovering over the countries. So the events of World War One, as we know that narrated is Lieutenant Henry belongs to America. He narrates the events. We come to know that at the summer time, the war starts, and the American and British soldiers basically, they were over there at Italian border. They would like to help and support the Italian forces because Italy was also fighting against Austria, Hungary, and Germans at the same time. So from one side there was Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Turkey as well, and from another side, allied forces were there. Uh, at the start of after the summer, at the start of winter, we come to know that cholera pandemic kills more than 15,000 soldiers. Henry's unit moves at Gorzia, another town of Italy, where soldiers enjoy music and talk about the cities of Italy. Basically, uh, the soldiers, they don't want to fight, and sometimes they go back, and sometimes they go to other places and where they can enjoy. They need to play music, and where they play cards and drink too. At the same time they enjoy. So this is the situation, and soldiers basically don't want to fight, but as you know that they represent their country, so there must be loyalty from their side. Now here we come to know the interaction of Henry and British nurse Catherine Berkeley. Basically, when Henry, in the first place, he comes across Catherine, he falls in love with her. Catherine is suffering from depression too because her fancy has died in the war. And then there is another character, Dr. Rinaldi takes now he takes interest in women. It seems that is a kind of flirt. So romance between Catherine and Henry starts. Basically, the front is there, and war is going on. The First World War is going on. So soldiers are fighting, and there is yes, absolutely, there is interaction between nurses, doctors, and soldiers at the same time, because doctors and nurses are there to help and support the injured soldiers. The soldiers do not want to go to front in order to fight, want to stay at hospital to be away from the war. Basically, soldiers don't want to fight. They're reluctant to fight, and they don't want to go to front to fight the war. As we know this fact, this is the fact, and they basically they pretend to be pretend to be sick, and then they want to stay at hospital, because hospital is a safe place where they don't die. So at Pablo, Henry gets injured in a mortar attack, and his other fellows die. Basically, we come to know that the war is there, the dangerous war is going on, and as we know that the protagonist Henry, he got injured at the same times. So these are the events of war. We come to know about these events of war. When Henry got injured, when he gets injured, so he is admitted at Milan hospital. So he has been treated at Milan hospital, and Henry basically enjoys life at Milan. And we come to know that he meets Catherine over there, and Catherine comes over there. So he meets Catherine. Henry's wound is healed. Catherine announces her pregnancy because there is a um, intense love between Catherine and Henry. Henry goes back to front after his treatment of jaundice. Now, basically, he got injured, and he got injuries on his leg, and his leg is healed. But after that, uh, uh, he suffers from jaundice. This another disease, a liver disease. The theme of novel is correlated with war. Now we come to know that after keeping in view all these images, we come to know that what is the theme of the novel? Basically, theme of novel is correlated with war and love. This is the main theme of the novel. War and love go on. Basically, war and love have the same chemistry, have the same consequences, because whenever you have success in war, you enjoy it and you celebrate it. Whenever you have success in love, you enjoy and celebrate it. At the same time, when there is a failure in war, and failure in love, you must have resilience, you must have endurance to fight back. So it's very difficult to survive in war at the same time in love, and both war and love are at the same time destructive. They have destructive elements in both in love and war. We can find destructive elements too. So we come to know another event, retreat of Italian soldiers and Ben Caesar. The events of coming back seems risky and full of danger. Now, what happens? Italians basically they cannot tolerate, and they basically retreat. There is a lot of bombardment from Austrian and Hungarian side, and from Germans too. So Italians could not hold back. So you can say that it was necessary for them to retreat. So American soldiers, basically American ambulance drivers were over there, and they would like to go back, and they would like to just seek the same retreat. They come across German soldiers. And what happens when Henry and his men they are retreating? So they come across the German soldiers and they fired at them. Henry and party tried hard to get safest place. So it was very hard for Henry and his men to find the safest place to go away from the danger of the war and the bombardment of German soldiers, but they have to go back because Italian army they fail over there, and then Austrian and Hungarian soldiers would come over there and they kill each and every person. So again, we come to know that Henry reaches Milan. Now, so it means that after much struggle, Henry reaches Milan and then goes to Stresa to join Catherine. Basically, Catherine goes to Stresa, in the city of Italy, from Milan to Stresa. Because Catherine serves at Milan, American hospital at Milan as well, but she goes to Stresa and another city of Italy. And when Henry is successful. Now Henry reaches Milan because he comes to know that Catherine may be at Milan, but after reaching Milan, he comes to know that Catherine goes to Stresa, so he joins Catherine at Stresa. Henry and Catherine moved to Switzerland as safest place for them. It seems that war is over now. Catherine delivers a child, but Catherine dies of hemorrhage. Love and war both have the same losses for which no compensation are possible. Now, basically, this is related with the theme. And although in the last episode of this story, we come to know that Catherine dies and Catherine is no more, and but Henry is not happy about his child because he loses Catherine in the in that struggle. So Henry loves Catherine very much. So he misses Catherine very much, and he cries at the death of Catherine. So here we come to know that love and war both have losses for which no compensation are possible. As we know that when we discuss this novel, when we discuss the theme of this novel, we come to know that this novel is about love and war. So at the French, the war is going on. The sufferings of soldiers are also going on, but you can't stop. You can't stop love. You can't stop feelings, emotions, compassion, kindness, because all these sentiments and emotions are very much there. We can say that war is going on, but we can't stop love. We when we discuss the themes of this novel, the grim reality of war. So war is always destructive, and war has got grim reality. So love and pain are inseparable. So pain is there because of war, but when human beings interact, we cannot avoid. So naturally, love happens. So love and pain are inseparable. Another theme is those who start the war and those who fight it. Uh, those who start war, basically the politician, the statesmen, they start war and the soldiers fight it, but soldiers don't want to fight the war. But those who start war, they have their selfish intentions, they have their gains, and they have their superiority over other nations. As we know that the First World War, There was German on the one side, and German basically uh, they hated France and British, because British imperialism uh, had got expansion in other countries, and at the same time Germans wanted to conquer the world and wanted expansion too. So you from one side British was strong, another side Germans were strong, so nobody could bear and tolerate other country, and then there were a lot of alliances. So those who start war, they have their selfish intentions. Those who start war are statesmen and politicians, and those who fight who are the soldiers. And soldiers basically don't want to indulge in war, but soldiers have to go because they show the loyalty to their country, and they must remain faithful. Bravery, glory, resilience, endurance, loyalty, and sacrifice. So Uh, Ernest Hemingway wants to discuss the bravery of the soldiers, the glory just the soldiers bring to their country, resilience. Uh, they have all the strength and courage to fight back the sufferings, and they endure in the war, uh, and they are loyal and faithful to the country, uh, and they make sacrifices. As we know that when we compare these elements, so these elements are also in love also, because in love you need bravery. You love, you want to achieve love, and then there must be resilience and endurance, and then there must be loyalty, and you make sacrifices, because without sacrifice you can't have your love, you can't achieve the glory in the love. So these same elements are very much there in love. Yes, the soldiers are reluctant to fight. Those who start war are cruel statesmen and politicians, as we know that from both sides. From Germany, Hitler was there, and from another side British, France, and you see again America. Uh, from another side, you see that from both sides, statesmen and politicians were there, and they want to have their gains. So they basically compel soldiers to fight war, and war always brings destruction. War put humanity in endless trauma and sufferings. As we know that war is neither case is good. So war always brings sufferings, destruction, and trauma, sufferings, endless sufferings. We can say that, and there is a need of kindness and compassion. Basically, doctors and nurses show kindness and compassion, and they are over there to show kindness and compassion to the soldiers, and then their suffering. So, whenever Ernest Hemingway tries to show that whenever there is interaction among human beings, so love, kindness, and compassion are the products, are the results. So we cannot avoid. Yes, I have got these two quotations from the text. The world breaks everyone, and afterwards, many are strong at the broken places. As we know that we go through sufferings, we have many sufferings, and we have many painful experiences and bitter experiences of life, as war is also bitter experience. Sometimes love is also love has become a bitter experience too, and then there is a trauma, there is a pain in love as well. So we are broken at war, and sometimes we are broken at love also. The world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are strong at the broken place. Whenever we have painful and bitter experiences, and after these painful and bitter experiences, we are strong, or we become strong. Life isn't hard to manage when you have nothing to do. So it means that life cannot be hard for you, and you cannot consider it hard when you have nothing to lose. So whenever you have nothing to lose, it means that you say it's okay, just it should go on, and then there is no problem as such. Yes, I want to show you the slides again. Yes, from here we starts. Uh, events of war. Just I want to show this the story, the farewell to arms. Uh, the events of war. These are the events of war, and this one is also. These are the events of the war. This one also, and this one also. And this slide is related to the theme, and yes, you can see the themes, and we come to the characters. You must have the better, you must have the better understanding when you come to know about the characters. Now, the important characters are here in this novel. Lieutenant Frederick Henry, a novel's narrator and protagonist. So he narrates the novel. At the same time, he's a hero of the novel. Catherine Berkeley, a British nurse, falls in love with Henry. Now you can say that she is another main character in the novel, and she we call the heroine of the novel, and she is over head and heels in love with Henry. Rinaldi, a surgeon in Italian army, a close friend of Henry, he seduces women. Basically, Rinaldi is a fond of seducing women, so he loves beautiful women, so he is a flirt kind. So Rinaldi is a friend of uh, Henry. The priest basically provides spiritual guidance to soldiers. Priest is there. So this is another strategy of war, planning of war. Miss Gage, American nurse at Milan Hospital, helps Henry through the recovery. Miss Van Campen, superintendent of nurses at American Hospital. Basically, she is very strict superintendent, and she has no soft corner for other people, and she's very hard-hearted, and she's very strict and towards nurses. Dr. Valentini, an Italian surgeon who comes to American hospital. Again, Dr. Valentini is also, you know that informal sort of character. He also loves women, but at the same time, he's very devoted and committed doctor. Other minor characters, including fellow soldiers and drivers with Henry, as we as we come to know that the characters of novel are mostly soldiers, doctors, and nurses. So we come to know that there is a front. The soldiers are fighting with the enemies, and doctors and nurses are over there to help them. Sometimes they operate on the soldiers in order to cure up their wounds. So we come to know about these characters because these are the main characters, uh, and but this the theme of the novel is basically war and love between Henry and Catherine. You know that. Yes. Yes, I want to, yes, uh, please just talk to me. Here is the slide of the theme. Yes, any question you would like to ask me? Yes, please switch on your mics. You can ask me any question if you would like to ask.
Sir, as the Henry is first person narrative and the protagonist of this play, protagonist writer. Sir, I want to ask the actually the writer who wrote this play. Sir, was he वही सिचुएशन से गुजरा था खुद सर जो मेन राइटर है इसका
Yes. Actually, this novel is an autobiographical element, autobiography of Ernest Hemingway. Basically, Ernest Hemingway served American army in the First World War. So you can say that Henry reflects, represent Ernest Hemingway. So Ernest, there is autobiographical element in this novel. So we can say that the character Henry, he faces all the bitter situations in the war, uh, and he represents Ernest Hemingway because Ernest Hemingway used to engage himself in those circumstances, grim realities of the war, and basically he was an ambulance driver and he went over there. So you can say that yes, there is a autobiography and there is autobiographical element in this novel, and as we know that in reality Ernest Hemingway served American Army in First World War, and Henry basically reflects his character. Yes, this is a good question, Rashida. Yes.
ओके सर
Another question, please.
गॉट
Anyone? Anyone? Yes, from this slide, I want to show you the slide again. Slide number 8. The story is this is the story, and to some extent we come to know that Henry is character, Catherine is character, Dr. Valentini is a character. You know that and, this is the first slide. This is the second slide. You can see there are many events of the war, and soldiers are fighting the Italian front. So American soldiers are there. Basically, there are certain events of war, but these events are very much related with the Henry's life. Henry's presence is very much important in these events, and Henry's life is depicted when he is over there at the front, and when he got injured and he goes back to Milan hospital, and his love with Catherine is shown, his romance with Catherine is shown. So both these characters are correlated with each other. We can say that their love is clear, intense, and complicated too at the same time. So you can say that they have an relation in depth. The relation is intense from Henry and from Catherine's sides as well. So all these events, all these circumstances are surrounded by the narrator, the protagonist Henry, because when he goes back to Milan hospital and where Catherine comes to, and his life is depicted over there. And after that, he goes back to front again, and where there is a retreat from Italian soldiers, and the American soldiers go back to, and they want to reach they want to reach Milan, where they can feel that they will be safe. And it is very difficult and dangerous to reach Milan, because you enemies fighting, the fighting is there, and bombardment from Austrian Hungary soldiers, and then from the German soldiers over there. So it is very difficult to reach. So they have gone through many trials and tribulations to reach Milan. So it's very difficult to reach. And then after that, Henry goes to another city, and after that, in the final place, as we come to know that at the end, Henry and Catherine basically they go to Switzerland, because they think that Switzerland is the safest place and where they can enjoy the life. When we can where can they can enjoy their life, and they have the safe place. And finally, Catherine dies over there, and while delivering the child, and we come to know that Henry becomes alone. He's all alone, and this is the end of this novel. So this is he's the main character, he's protagonist, and all the events and circumstances are surrounded by him. Whenever he is a friend, whenever he is at Milan, or whenever he is at Switzerland, we come to know about his life. We come to know about the circumstances. To some extent, this novel is called social document, because it is concerned about the First World War. Yes, any other question, please? You may ask me another question. You can see the slides, and wherever you can't understand anything, you can pose the question to me. Yes, this slide is related with the themes of the novel. Yes, these are the characters. Yes, please. Any other person? Just you want to ask me any question? Yes.
Sir, as we can see in the themes, that love and those who start the war and those fight. As we can see, the soldiers who fight in the war. But means who start means in this we can see the political element in this
Mhm.
play. Means who were those who started the war, and after that the soldier has to have that sufferings.
Yes. Yes, Bhaktavar basically the statesmen, the leaders, the politicians, they start the war. They have the planning, they have the strategy. And as we know that the First World War was fought because Germany, they thought that Germans basically, they thought that British and France and other countries pose danger to them. So British, as we know that British imperialism was there, and British expansion was all there, and Germans basically they wanted the same expansion too. So you can say that this the war was the war of lords. You can say that they wanted to show the superiority. There was a superiority element in the countries. So Germans thought that they were powerful, and at the same time, British believed that they were powerful. So there were many alliances among the countries, and British had alliance with France, Russia, and then America, and Germany had alliance with Turkey, Austria, and Hungary. So Germany attacked France in the first place, and then you see that the war started. Statements, the politicians, the leaders start the war, and the